My name is Kat, and I'm a student. I'm going to teach from the Essence of the Path to Enlightenment book and Meditations on the Path to Enlightenment. Both are written by our founder, renowned scholar, and spiritual head, Geshe Acharya Tipton Lotus. A recap on last week's class. We started with a general introduction to Buddhism and why reading, exploring, and meditating on these topics of the path to enlightenment can change your perspective of how you see and react to day-to-day occurrences. We looked at the Buddha who, prior to attaining enlightenment, was just like us and experienced the same sufferings as we do. We meditated on a short breathing session to get us settled, and then on giving love, which was my small take on Tonglen practice of giving happiness and removing suffering. The aim was to let the creative energies of the mind flow. Instead of being hung up on a visualization having to be static and dense and hurt your head and eyes, it was nice to just creatively visualize. I explored a meditation that had some fun and playful qualities, where we tried to bring to mind love that we already naturally generate and extend it to others. The first topic of Dharma covered was an overview about samsara and nirvana. That the material world is not samsara, rather the place of samsara. Likewise, nirvana is not some sort of heaven in another realm, but actually the state of existence liberated from karma and delusions. We then covered the first of the Four Noble Truths, true suffering, which we explored the suffering of pain, changing suffering, and pervasive suffering. So today we are going to explore the second noble truth, true source of suffering, which we need to break the delusions explored in this noble truth over 2 sessions. So there's going to be a to be continued element for this session. Then we will look at the third and fourth noble truths, true cessation of suffering and true path to the cessation of suffering after the next class, the 4th class. And in the final 2 classes, we'll look at taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. But before we look into true source of suffering, I thought it'd be nice to start with a meditation to ease us into the practice and settle the mind. Last week, we explored generating our own love. And this love wasn't an our heart's love, where it's the perfection of love. This is the love that us human beings, where we are, can only experience and generate to mind. So that's why I thought picking examples that ring true to you, where you are at this level in your path, is better than trying to imagine what an our heart would feel for love, and the equal attitude for all beings, enemies, strangers. Well, they won't even have enemies and strangers. So it's good to actually bring, what I'm trying to say is it's good to bring your own examples to mind. We're not going to be at this stage like in our heart, but you can actually develop the love that you know and see it in your mind and your heart, and then go from there. And then this week, my playful meditation is, I thought we could bring in receiving love from the Buddha, but instead of the formal structure of the Buddha being on a throne, lotus, sun and moon, I thought I would I thought I'll bring in some visualizations of something we might be more familiar with a red pine forest, and the field of merit is supposed to be like looking like a field of merit up a tree. So I thought of having Buddha up a red pine tree for today's meditation. And you can get inspiration by looking at the Buddha behind me as well. So I'm going to bring creativity and childlike playfulness into this meditation. And this is going to slowly introduce you to the Buddha and the qualities of Buddha that we'll be exploring more in the final two classes. We'll start first with a breathing meditation to help settle the mind. So get yourself settled either on cushion or chair. Try to have a comfortable, upright posture. If seated, have your feet on the ground. If on cushion, have your legs crossed comfortably in front. Have your eyes closed or partway closed and unfocused. Have your tongue pressed slightly against the back of your front teeth towards the roof of your mouth. And have your hands folded in your lap with right palm on top of left palm and thumbs touching. Start to let the world around you fade away and focus solely on your breath. You can concentrate on the airflow at the tip of your nostrils. Or in the rise and fall of your stomach. Concentrate on your normal breathing. Do not change your breath in any way. Concentrate on the natural arising and falling of your breath. Think to yourself, my breath in, on each in-breath, and my breath out, on each out-breath. Another way to watch the breath is to count each breath. Watch your breath go in and count 1. And then go out again and count both as 1. And then on your next breath in and out, count that as 2. Where are you? Are you still on the breath? If you've lost at which number you are up to and have gotten distracted, just start again from 1. If it helps, you can count 1 through to 10 of each in and out breath. And when you get to 10, start back at 1 And if you find counting distracting, just watch the rise and fall of your breath, and keep this in your mind as your sole focus. If your mind gets distracted about a thought, just let it pass and refocus your mind back to the breath and restart the count again at 1. This is the best part and the hardest part. To see your mind has lost its object and bring it back to the breath. Don't be forceful. Gently bring it back to the breath. Now we move on to the second part of this meditation, which is visualization. If you want, you can stretch a little bit now if you need to. And then settle yourself back down into meditation posture. Imagine you are sitting in a beautiful forest where there are tall red pine trees reaching high up into the sky. You are surrounded by tall red pine trees. Imagine smelling the pine needle scent on the ground and in the trees. The trees are all light-natured and not dense. The earth feels cool beneath your body. And you are comfortable and safe. Now imagine on one of the branches of the pine tree sits Buddha. Zoom into the smile on his face. His body is radiant light, golden radiant light. And his smile is radiant light. Imagine beautiful golden light is extending out from his body in all directions, like sunlight rays through the trees. Now imagine the light and Buddha's love extending from his body into your body. The light rays dissolve into your body and slowly fill your body up with beautiful golden healing light. Imagine all your worries, anxieties, and concerns are washed away and bathe in these beautiful light rays. Feel in your own body beautiful, loving warmth and light. All bad karma is washed away. And you are at one with Buddha in the beautiful red pine forest. Now slowly ease yourself out of this meditation. You can stretch, but you get to keep the light and love of Buddha, your Buddha nature. Keep this as your happy place and return to it whenever you need to. Okay, let's talk about true source of suffering. The sufferings of samsara arise from the faults of delusions. Delusions form the basis of negative karma, which itself leads to death and rebirth conditioned by karma and delusion. Delusions are defined as mental factors that, when generated, causes the mental continuum to be very disturbed. Delusions are otherwise referred to as afflictions, defilements, negative minds, or contaminated minds, and they are the obstructions to the attainment of the peace of nirvana. The source of samsara is karma and delusion. Of these, delusion is the principal cause. Even if there were no delusion, even though you might have countless previous created karmas, suffering would not be produced. Just as a seed cannot sprout without the cooperative causes of soil, heat, and water, karma cannot ripen without the cooperative causes of delusions. Having a deluded state of mind is like pouring water on a dry field in which lie the unripened seeds of previous negative karma. If delusions are present, even if there were no previously created karmas, it would immediately be created and established future contaminated aggregates. For this reason, is it important to apply antidotes to the delusions, and to do so, you must become knowledgeable about them. Okay, there are limitless delusions, but they are most commonly classified into 6 root delusions. The 6 root delusions are desirous attachment, anger, pride, ignorance, doubt, and deluded view. The last of these, deluded view, has 5 types, and these are known as speculative delusions because they are views established through conceptual reasoning. Today I'm going to talk about the first 3 of these root delusions, so that's the to be continued element. I'll talk about the other 3 in next week's class. So the first 3 root delusions are desirous attachment, anger, and pride. Desirous attachment is a mental factor that perceives external or internal objects as attractive, exaggerates their attractiveness, and wishes to possess or retain them. With desirous attachment, it is very difficult to separate the mind from its object. Desirous attachment is like mental glue and clings to the object of desire. Other delusions stain the mind as dirt stains a white cloth, whereas attachment is like an oil stain soaked into the cloth. It is relatively easy to remove ordinary dirt through washing, but because oil absorbs so thoroughly into cloth, it is very difficult to clean away. Because attachment clings to the object of desire so strongly and holds on it, it is as though the mind of desirous attachment absorbs into the object. Like separating oil from cloth, it is very difficult to separate attachment from its object. Desirous attachment encompasses desire, attachment, clinging, possessiveness, grasping, passion, and so on. It is generated towards any of the objects of the 6 senses. Desirous attachment is therefore experienced continuously because you are always in contact with an object of desirous attachment. In the case of anger and other delusions, you are not constantly in contact with objects of those delusions, and so their effect is not so pervasively dangerous as with desirous attachment. It is the attachment that clings to self and phenomena as inherently existent that is the base of all delusions and the root cause of samsara. The opponent power to attachment is also called the concentration on ugliness. If you are attached to your own body or to that of someone else, the resulting agitation will prevent you from concentrating. There are 2 parts to this concentration. the opponent of attachment to the colour of the body, and the opponent of attachment to the shape of the body. If you are attached to the colour of a body, you can visualize that it becomes a dark colour like blue or purple, and then concentrate on that colour continuously. Concentrating on a dark colour overcomes the sparkling feeling that is associated with attachment. The mind is sobered and attachment is reduced. If you are attached to the shape of a body, concentrate on visualize image of the person to whom you feel desire, and visualize a sore in the centre of that person's forehead. Bear with me here. The sore becomes larger and the flesh disintegrates, revealing the skull. The sore continues to spread until no flesh is left on the body. The remaining skeleton falls into a heap of bones which multiply until the whole surface of the earth is covered in dry bones. The bones then contract and become one bone. This will definitely generate the mind of non-attachment. Attachment to the body involves an exaggerated view on the body as being beautiful. Seeing its repulsive aspects helps to destroy the strength of your fantasy. My thoughts are to look within yourself. How is this desirous attachment arising? Do you want a sense to own or to keep something, for it to be yours? As this is not possible. You can't possibly control something, and having something is only for a short while. It is not permanent. What I find sad is someone seeing something they desire, they are possessed and want to have it at whatever cost. You hear about this on the news. Or desirous attachment can arise in new love. People refer to this as the honeymoon period. It is lovely, but can lead these persons to be blinded to everything else around them. Sounds familiar? Homework slipping, not concentrating at work. Your sole focus is when you next meet or the next text message. In the above meditation that I described about the visualization of a sore, I find it is always good to pare information back and work within your current comfort zone. Having a tear-off band-aid method might be a little aggressive. I find a step-by-step approach to be most benefit. You could imagine a skeleton as the appearance of what you'll see at a chiropractor's office. What you will find is when you get down to the skeleton, we are all the same. Outside appearances don't matter. The next delusion is anger. Anger is a mental factor that perceives its object as unattractive, exaggerates its unattractiveness, becomes antagonistic, and wishes to harm the object. You become angry at those who harm you, or at those who harm the people close to you, or side with your enemies. Your mind exaggerates the faults and unattractiveness of the object of anger and can blow these out to all proportions, so that you may not see the slightest redeeming feature in the horror appearing to your mind. Your agitated mind then wishes to harm the object of anger in some way, either by bodily action, speech, or thought. Anger creates the heaviest negative karma. It destroys positive karma and happy states of mind, and creates the sort of stress-related tension that would not allow you to relax. As a bee loses its sting and dies when it attacks you, so your anger harms others, but harms you more. When you become angry, you lose control of your mind and are totally irrational. Intense anger may cause people to kill their parents, child, partner, or even holy bodhisattva, filled with compassion and patience. In a rational, calm state of mind, a person does not even contemplate such a thing. But in the heat of an angry rage, anything is possible. Patience is the main opponent to anger. Patience is a virtuous mind that can remain indifferent to any form of harm inflicted by others, can voluntarily endure any form of suffering, and remain definitely thinking about the Dharma. The practice of patience or tolerance becomes very important because only through patience is one able to overcome the obstacles to compassion. For developing concentration or calm abiding, another opponent to anger is the concentration on loving kindness. A person with anger as the strongest delusion should concentrate on patience and great love, and particularly direct strong loving kindness towards enemies. Developing equanimity and cultivating love and compassion is an opponent to anger, for then being able to practice and develop calm abiding. But the main opponent and opposite to anger is patience. My thoughts are to look within yourself yet again. When you feel anger arise, where is it coming from? Is it a way to point the finger at someone else instead of acknowledging your own faults? Have you ever accidentally broken an object and then blamed it on someone else? It is because you upset my mind that this object broke. Anger is ugly. Have you ever looked at a person's face when they are angry? And what do you see? Red face, bulging eyes, anger creases across the face. Do you want to be around them? Other people feel the same if you are angry at them. When you see anger arise, watch it arise, feel its heat and let it go. You don't need to act it out. The breathing meditation of focusing on the breath and watching thoughts and emotions come and go is a good practice. By constantly bringing your breath to the focus of your attention and letting emotions and thoughts float by means you're not reacting to them or getting carried away by them. In essence, you are more in control and you aren't just habitually reacting without a thought or care to the other person involved. There is power to review prior to acting. It is going to be cause of a peaceful mind, as well as others around you will feel at ease in your presence. Being mindful and aware of thoughts is a really strong practice. The more you practice the breathing meditation, your awareness will increase. When you do see your mind ride in an emotion, and if you don't catch it in time, don't beat yourself up. You are actually acknowledging the emotion, which means you are aware of it, and step by step, you can practice putting the antidotes into place. The third delusion is pride. Pride is a mental factor that grasps at the inflated feeling of being superior. It is a form of arrogance where you place yourself above others. You can generate pride in relation to your beauty, wealth, family, knowledge, intelligence, and so on. When you approach the practice of Dharma with pride in your knowledge and so on, your progress stops. Pride prevents you learning from others. The delusion of pride is based on the insecurity of ego grasping and is quite distinct from self-confidence and self-esteem. The opponents to pride are humility and rejoicing. For the opponent to pride of humility, concentrate on all the various elements that make up your being. By seeing that your ego or sense of self does not stand alone and independent, your pride will be reduced. By seeing that you're merely dependent on parts, causes and conditions, your pride will be lessened. The opposite to pride is humility. My thoughts are to look within yourself yet again. Sounds like a reoccurring theme. When you feel pride arise, look at where it's coming from. If you have pride towards your knowledge that you have that others have not yet grasped, ask yourself, were you born with that knowledge? Or did you have to learn, train and think in order to be able to be at the understanding that you currently have? The people and influences that have surrounded you since birth has helped develop what you now know. You did not automatically know this as a baby. It did not inherently exist within you. It did not just fall from the sky. Without these other people that you are familiar with, if they did not help you, spend time with you, where would you be? What would you know? It pays to have humility in your approach to others. If you see a moment of pride arise, don't act on it. Acknowledge it and let it pass. Sometimes we grasp at pride because we are proud of how far we have come, what we have learnt, what we can do and what we have achieved. But to put others down because you feel superior only leads to others being hurt. And since you think you know it all, you close yourself off from learning from others. So essentially you are getting stuck with your progress. For the opponent of pride is rejoicing in others' happiness, others' Dharma practice, others' possessions, achievements and qualities. And like I said in session 1, please don't beat yourself up. We all have suffering and delusions, and we are all trying to do our best. Setting small goals of what you want to work on first is a way to start. Instead of being just overwhelmed by the information and not starting anywhere. The path to enlightenment is a lifelong practice. Just by starting off with breathing meditation and reading the Dharma is enough. Okay, so now we'll do a second meditation, and I thought we'll do an analytical meditation on patience, which is the opponent to anger. We'll start off with a small breathing meditation, but an analytical meditation, you let thoughts come to your mind and you analyse them. So you want to bring, when I'm reading through the analysis, you want to bring thoughts to your mind that make sense to you and are meaningful. So stretch and get yourself comfortable. It'll be about a 20-minute meditation. And if you want to, you can stretch through the meditation as well. And through the analytical meditation, if there's times you don't have an example that springs to your mind to focus on, you can just listen to my words and breathe, okay? That's okay too. Okay, so get settled back into meditation posture, same as before. Try to have a comfortable, upright posture. If seated, have your feet on the ground. If on cushion, have your legs crossed comfortably in front. Have your eyes closed or partway closed and unfocused. Have your tongue pressed lightly against the back of your front teeth towards the roof of your mouth. And have your hands folded in your lap with right palm on top of left palm and thumbs touching. Start with breathing in and out, just to settle the mind. Remember to not be too forceful and just naturally watch the rise and fall of your breath at the tip of your nose or the rise and fall of your belly. Now we move on to meditation about patience. Recollect the nature of patience. Patience is the virtuous mind that can remain indifferent to any form of harm inflicted by others, can voluntarily endure any form of suffering, and remain definitely thinking about the Dharma. When this equal, peaceful, stable, and non-violent mind is conjoined with bodhicitta motivation, it becomes a perfection of patience. Generate this mind of patience by thinking, through this act of patience, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. And familiarize yourself with it by holding it single-pointedly. The second part of the meditation is to develop your enthusiasm for the practice of patience by contemplating the benefits arising from the practice and the disadvantages arising from its opposite, anger. Patience brings great stability, courage, and strength to mind. Patience overcomes all fear and mental agitation which arises from fear. It is thus a source of inner peace and freedom. Patience is the cause of beauty, the cause of having many good friends. Patience will bring higher rebirth in the future. It protects one's accumulation of merit and virtue, that is, one's sources of happiness. Developing the perfection of patience is an essential cause for the attainment of enlightenment. By contrast, anger is an unpeaceful, unstable, and fundamentally paranoid state of mind. It is a source of harm for both oneself and others, and destroys happiness and good conditions. It causes wars amongst nations and personal, social, and family conflict. Anger destroys relationships and is a cause of being lonely and isolated. Anger destroys one's beauty and is a cause for having an unpleasant appearance. It brings all the sufferings of lower rebirths and obstructs one's spiritual development. By considering the advantages of patience and the disadvantages of anger, as what has been said, you will develop a strong enthusiasm for the practice of patience. Hold this single-pointedly. The third part of the meditation is patience of remaining indifferent to the harm inflicted by others. Review the way that other people seem to be able to hurt you or have hurt you in the past. Analyze where you experience the pain, and you will find that naturally it is experienced in your mind. Then analyze to find what it is exactly within this formless thing we call mind that causes an experience of pain in relation to the various events that you are considering. Then examine how to fix the situation. You will find that what will fix the situation is a change within your mind, and that change will involve an expression of patience. To convince yourself that this really is the solution to the harm inflicted on you by someone. Examine the alternative. Don't apply patience. You will then find that the mental agitation and pain will continue, or at best recede into the background, only to emerge again later. The mental agitation that you experience in relation to the unresolved pain will propel you into the mental agitation of an angry response to the person harming you. He will be hurt by that and become angrier himself, so that he hurts you some more. The situation will only escalate until someone applies a measure of patience. There is no solution to the problem without transforming your mental responses into one of patience. Take a number of hurtful examples that have bothered you and apply the procedure that I've spoken of until you arrive at a response of increased patience, and then concentrate single-pointedly on that. Retain this experience of the patience of remaining indifferent to the harm inflicted by others. Now extend your practice of patience to include the patience of voluntarily bearing suffering and the patience of definitely thinking about the Dharma. Hold single-pointedly the understanding that you will have of the total practice of patience. Finally, mix this realization of patience with a perfection of patience by reflecting on how to practice total patience with bodhicitta motivation and dedication. Bodhicitta motivation such as, through this act of patience, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. Bodhicitta dedication at the end of the action such as, through this act of patience, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. Then meditate single-pointedly on this perfection of patience. We can now finish this meditation. Thank you for coming today. Even if you just take away one lesson from this talk that is meaningful to you and work on it, step by step, you will turn it from a weakness into a strength. Next week, we'll be looking into the other 3 delusions: ignorance, doubt, and deluded view. To advise, we have a short 1-day retreat coming up on the Labor Day long weekend on Saturday the 11th of March, led by Tim McKibben. Please check out our website for details of the retreat and how to register. Yet again, I haven't left much time for questions, but I will take them on notice and write them down for next session, or you can ask them at afternoon tea. So please join me for afternoon tea in the dining room at the back of the temple. And if you are going to the enjoyment shop, feel free to browse. There's no rush to get to afternoon tea. And thanks for coming. Have a lovely week.